Before we get into today's segment, I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I hope you had a meaningful Hanukkah, a peaceful Kwanzaa, and now, to Nickell Nation, today's segment is not about decorum. And before we go any further, let me be clear about where I'm coming from. I'm the infamous ex-chief. I'm a prior cop, a prior homicide detective, and a prior chief of police. I've lived on both sides of the law, and it's not about order. And it's not about whether people were polite enough at a council meeting. It's about how power reacts when scrutiny shows up. On December 16th, at a North Royalton City Council meeting, something changed. Not a law, not an ordinance, not a charter provision. What was changed was enforcement. A rule that had never been enforced before suddenly mattered. And it mattered only after the cameras were rolling. WKYC was present. Residents had been speaking freely for weeks, and the moment criticism crossed a line of comfort, the process snapped shut. To Nickell Nation, this is where the process becomes the story. Let's walk through exactly what happened. For weeks leading up to this meeting, residents attended council and spoke during public comment. No sign-up requirement was enforced. No residency challenge was raised. No advance paperwork was demanded. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't confusion. This was what council leadership later described as custom and practice. Custom and practice means something important. It means the rule existed on paper and not in reality. And when a rule exists but is never enforced, people rely on that reality. They plan around it, they participate based on it. That matters. Cut receipt 1.
We're ready.
You have 5 minutes?
Great, thank you. I'm here as a citizen of North Royalton to make known my disapproval of how the drunk driving arrest of the deputy chief of Orange was handled. It is my belief that both the position of the mayor and the police chief are highly respected and honorable positions, but not anymore in my mind. The mayor's on record, and the investigation report says there was no wrongdoing. But I ask you, how many other drunk drivers carrying 3 loaded handguns who were speeding and swerving, how many of those other arrests have you reduced the charges on? Is it a 5-year? Does the chief look at each case and adjust each and every charge? I'm guessing that number is 0. But if it is common practice, then I'm equally concerned about that. Either way, it seems to me the chief has abdicated his duties and is not upholding the law, especially if there are his friends. This entire scenario is a disgusting display of corruption and cronyism. And like corrupt governments in the past, I believe that it will be the citizens who suffer. We will suffer because what the chief and mayor are saying to our officers is, as long as you wear the badge, the law does not apply to you. This mentality breeds recidivism. How many times in the past did the Orange deputy chief's badge allow him to put the lives of the citizens of North Royalton at risk? My family and yours. On the video, he seemed confident his badge would save him. Why is that? Did it work in the past? You reward bad behavior, and it will continue. I'm very familiar with being in this exact situation. I was a commander in the Army. One of my leaders under me, a platoon sergeant, made a bad decision and drove drunk. He was arrested, and faced full punishment for his bad choices. He was an amazing leader, very good with the soldiers, but he failed in a grand way. I could not advocate for leniency on his behalf, simply because he was a leader. In fact, I had to ensure the law was fully enforced because he was a leader. He set the example for good or bad, something that seems lost here in North Royalton. When we carve out exceptions for people in power, we create a two-tiered system of justice. The privileged and the rest of us. This is one of the very principles our country was founded against. If the mayor thinks that the system is good for North Royalton, he and the chief are wrong. But here we see a corrupt system. I watched the video. I saw the arresting officers struggle with this arrest in the field, with little support from his fellow officers. He made the right choice and did the right thing. His chief hung him out to dry. So did the mayor. I have no more confidence in the mayor. I have no confidence in the police chief. And apparently, so does the rest of the police department. And I'm calling for both of your resignations immediately. I won't hold my breath, though. I won't hold my breath for your resignations. As you both demonstrated already, that doing the right thing is beyond you. So you might not have lost your jobs, but you've lost my trust. I think our trust. And know from this day on, we, the citizens of North Royalton, will be watching and ready to hold you accountable. Hold you accountable for all your actions, whether they occur honestly in this meeting right here in front of everybody in the cameras, or in back rooms and in the dark of night. I just want to let you know that we are watching. Thank you.
At this meeting, one resident was allowed to speak. He spoke for 5 minutes, and this wasn't vague criticism. He addressed the handling of a drunk driving arrest involving Orange Village Deputy Chief Patrick O'Callaghan, who was stopped in North Royalton after being observed speeding and swerving. We've been covering this. He referenced body-worn camera footage and the fact that the deputy chief refused field sobriety testing. He raised concerns that 3 loaded firearms were found in the vehicle. And he questioned why charges that would normally apply to any other driver appeared to be reduced or removed. And he questioned whether police reports were altered after the fact. He questioned favoritism. He questioned whether a badge was being used as a shield rather than a responsibility. And he called it corruption. He called for resignations, and council allowed it. That matters, because it shows council was not enforcing the rule neutrally. They didn't stop speech because it was controversial. They didn't stop speech because it was uncomfortable. They stopped speech because it was continuing in front of the WKYC camera. Cut receipt 2.
All right, anyone else? What was the question?
Can we speak?
I
I need the forms.
believe per council rules, you had to fill it out beforehand. Now, do we have the ability to waive that with a motion?
After that speech, another resident asked a simple question. Can we speak? The answer came back immediately. No. Because according to council, a rule required speakers to sign up in advance. A rule that had not been enforced. A rule that had not been announced. A rule that residents were not warned would suddenly matter. Then something critical happened. Council referred the question to the law director, and the law director was clear. Council had the authority to waive its own rule. A motion could be made. It would take 4 votes. This was not mandatory. This was discretionary. Cut receipt 3.
Because you only have 6 tonight, it takes 4.
Okay. I'll make such a motion. Is there a second?
Okay.
Moved in second, will the clerk of the council please call the roll on the motion?
Ms. Kretsky?
No.
Ms. Gorgians?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Martichuk?
Yes.
Mr. Nickell?
No.
Ms. Barath?
No.
Unfortunately, per council rules and the motion that failed, you are not able to speak tonight.
A motion was made to waive the rule, the sudden rule that was just being enforced. Roll call was taken, and the motion failed. Let's be precise here, because language matters. Council did not lack authority. Council did not lack options. Council was not compelled by law. Council was not boxed in by procedure. Council made a conscious, recorded decision. And the direct, immediate result of that decision was this. Residents who were present, prepared, and seeking to speak were silenced. Not later, not at the next meeting. Mid-meeting. Their microphones were never turned on, their comments were never heard, their concerns were never entered into the public record. This was not passive. This was not incidental. This was active suppression of public participation by vote. And for the record, this did not happen anonymously. 3 council members voted not to suspend the rules, knowing full well that doing so would prevent residents from speaking. Those votes came from John Nickell, Linda Barath, and JoAnne Kretsky. Now, those 3 votes are the reason public comment ended. Those 3 votes are why the microphone stayed off, and those 3 votes are now part of the public record. Now, I researched them very cursory and found this. John Nickell, who I found most interesting, is a North Royalton City Council member who serves on multiple committees, including the Safety Committee. That committee assignment places him directly in matters involving police operations, public safety, and departmental accountability. His vote to block additional comment came in a meeting centered on police conduct and transparency. Now, Linda Barath is a long-serving North Royalton City Council member, representing her ward in legislative and procedural matters. She has participated in shaping council rules and practices over multiple terms. Her vote against suspending the rules was one of the deciding votes that ended public comment that night. Now, JoAnne Kretsky serves as a ward council representative and maintains a public-facing role communicating council decisions to residents. Her vote carried equal weight in the roll call that prevented additional residents from speaking, despite council having the authority to allow it. Cut receipt 4.
The new rule starting this week, right?
Order, Mr. President.
All right, so
No one,
Order, Mr. President.
if I may, I believe, if I'm correct, our clerk of council did a little bit of research and found out that this rule had always been in place. We had just, through what I would call custom and practice, maybe moved away from it and been a little bit more lenient. But now that we're aware of the rule, we're gonna follow it. But I will say I will be asking in the new term for the RNO committee to maybe take a look at it and do away with it.
Can I ask one question?
Is it like a
I just want to
point
know,
of,
are you able to speak in council meetings if you're not a resident?
so the question I think goes to our rules. The question is, are you able to speak at a council meeting if you're not a resident, correct?
Yes.
My understanding is the answer is no. That you are not, that again would fall into what I just said, that I'm hoping RNO will look at that in the new term and maybe do away with that rule to allow the community to speak. That's another one we had kind of through custom and practice, just allowed individuals to speak. But now that we're aware that we do have a rule, we're gonna have to abide by it, but hopefully modify it in the new year.
That supersedes the First Amendment. Got it.
if we had the form before
Order,
today,
Mr. President.
we would have filled out the form had we had.
And that,
This wasn't a thing before today.
okay. Okay. All right, so with that,
After the vote, council leadership said something that should concern every resident of North Royalton. They admitted the rule had always existed, but they also admitted it had never been enforced. They described enforcement as something they had moved away from through custom and practice. And now that they were aware of the rule, they were going to follow it. That sentence explains everything. This is where timing matters. WKYC was in the room. The rule suddenly mattered. Residents who had spoken freely before were stopped. And Tentacle Nation, notice what I'm not doing here. I'm not accusing the media of wrongdoing. I'm not alleging coordination. I'm laying out a timeline. Cameras were present, scrutiny was high, and participation was curtailed. That's not conjecture, that's chronology. The residents who were silenced were not there to shout. They were there to raise concerns about allegedly altering police reports, retaliation within the department, and a petition signed by over 500 residents. A vote of no confidence by officers. It wasn't noise, it was substance. Council didn't just limit time, they limited information. Rules exist to create fairness, but selective enforcement destroys it. And Tentacle Nation, let's be honest. A rule that only wakes up when the room gets uncomfortable isn't a rule, it's a lever. When rules only matter when speech becomes inconvenient, trust collapses. And this is not about whether council can adopt rules. It's about when and why they chose to enforce them. Now, no one here is declaring a legal violation, but this raises serious constitutional concerns. It raises transparency concerns, and it raises accountability concerns, especially when enforcement appears reactive. Now, Tentacle Nation residents will keep showing up, cameras will keep rolling, and the process will be watched just as closely as outcomes. Because when the rules only matter sometimes, they stop being rules. They become tools. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out.